Welcome back to Bricks and Buckets, Season 3, Episode 18. Of course, I'm Nico.
I'm Rob.
I'm Brooklyn.
And I think we have half of Bono right now.
I was
What a
waiting for
frame.
Bono to get it because he always gets second.
My computer just turned on.
I think we got a part of a cat that I really don't want to see.
And my cat.
Well, we have half of him. The return of Bono, and it's slightly delayed. But you know, what are we talking about today, guys? We're doing our positional rankings. Starting with the point guards, as we should. Would talk about news, trying to stall a little bit for Bono to get his Wi-Fi working. But LeBron got LeBag. Surprises, none.
No surprises there. It's LeBron James. He gets whatever he wants.
Doesn't he get now he's the most guaranteed money in NBA history?
Yeah, first $500 million player in NBA history.
Yeah, that's it. LeBron got LeBag.
He did.
Outside, I mean, we got some downtime, I guess, while Bono's doing this. Brooklyn, what do you do today?
Got ripped apart from my fantasy draft. You know, I might have taken a really bad pick in the second round.
But what'd you do?
If I say it, I probably won't be allowed in the townhouse, but
you gotta announce it.
You know, Dallas Goedert might not be the best choice.
In the second round?
How?
I actually don't now that I think about it, in the moment I was like, that's got to be my guy, and then I was just like, after that I was like, why did I just take him?
Redraft league, like not a dynasty league.
No, it's not a dynasty.
So how did I think it's harder to take Goddard in the second round. You gotta scroll.
You know, I had to DM him actually after the draft and tell him I needed him more than ever.
Oh,
so
all NFL players love that. It's like what all the DMs that Christian McCaffrey gets, don't get injured this year.
But I got Joe Mixon, so hopefully he can put up 50 a week.
How did you land on Goddard?
I honestly cannot explain any of it, but my team right now, I think I might just do the punishment early just because there's no way I'm not getting last place.
What's the punishment?
You got to sit in a dog cage and everyone gets to pick an item of choice and pour it on you while you're in your underwear.
And
Wow.
And Goddard, I mean, you might have sealed the deal.
Goddard might be the one locking me in that cage.
Rob, have you done any drafts yet?
I've done one redraft league. I think my team's pretty solid. It's a 10-man. Couple things I would have done differently, but I got Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Cooper Kupp, Mike Williams, Darren Waller, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin are my starters. Dak's my quarterback.
Well, how early did you take Kupp?
Kupp was 4 overall.
I respect that.
Yeah, so 4th slot in the 10-man league. Aaron Jones in the 2nd, Leonard Fournette in the 3rd, Darren Waller in the 4th, Mike Williams in the 5th. I got a lot of heat for that Mike Williams pick, but I like him a lot.
His ADP rose out of nowhere. Well, I mean, he got a bag.
Big touchdown guy, new contract, playing in one of the best offenses in the league. I think he could be better than Keenan Allen this year. But this isn't a football podcast, so we won't.
Yeah, it isn't. I mean, Bono just went up and disappeared. I haven't redraft, but I did make a trade in my dynasty league. I traded Derrick Henry away for Jamar Chase.
That's a win.
It was and it was started because I needed a quarterback. It's a 2 QB league, and my starting quarterback in that league was Davis Mills.
Nice.
Terrible.
But that hurts.
Yeah, no, Hurts is solid.
I need him to step up this year, especially with all the tools he's got now, like Dallas Goedert. Just maybe only hit Dallas Goedert for the rest of the year.
You got the Hurts Goddard stack. That's
yeah, it's deadly.
But we're not the fantasy footballers. You know what? Bono will come back eventually. We'll I mean, either way, I mean, this kind of answers my question because I was gonna say whether I didn't know if I wanted to go 10-1 or 1-10. I don't know which one has more because I feel like 1 is pretty self-explanatory. And with Bono not being here, I think that's the route to start. Top 10 point guards. Number 1, Steph Curry. No surprises here. One big surprise though. We had everyone from the pod, us 3, Bono, Nick, all of us did our rankings. And although he's not here with us, Nick put Luka over Curry. He had the same argument that I had where, I mean, I still have Curry over Luka. But as Rob knows, and as all the listeners that watched or listened to last episode, Luka is my MVP. But I don't think I think putting him over Curry is incredibly bold after what Curry just walked off from.
Yeah, I think it's bold too. It's definitely something that I considered for like a few seconds. I think it's irresponsible not to look at Luka as, the best point guard in the league, or at least put him in the consideration for it with what he's done, his track record. With that being said, it'd be, I think, even worse not to give Steph the number one spot based on everything that he's done and no signs of slowing down.
I completely agree with that. I mean, we all had, for the most goals except for Nick, but we all had Luka as our second, showing just like how we're all in agreement. Like Luka is literally like, he's like that. And I mean, Nick is saying he could have an MVP season. I also could see that happening. But if you're talking about current point guards right now, Steph Curry, after what he just did this season, has to be number one.
I would just like to say, for the record, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into this list with this comment, I put Kyrie Irving at my 3. I was very, very close to putting Kyrie Irving at my 2. I think if Kyrie wasn't such a mental case and he could actually stay on the floor, it would be more consensus that Kyrie is number 2. So I got a lot to say about Kyrie Irving.
I was gonna say that if there's anyone here to defend Kyrie, it would be Bono, and he joins at the right time. Bono, you didn't miss much. We talked about fantasy football. Brooklyn made a terrible pick.
I did make a terrible pick.
He picked Dallas Goedert in the second round, almost as bad as Marcus Mariota after trading Michael Pittman. I don't know who could have done that.
Yeah, maybe Asians aren't supposed to be playing fantasy.
But so yeah, we talked about Curry 1. We mentioned how Nick chose Luka over Curry, and then no surprises there.
Hey, what did we talk about? Am I like back?
Yeah, maybe a little later than we wanted it.
You didn't catch anything.
He just recapped the entire thing.
All right, you know what? You can listen to the episode and figure it out.
We're gonna be cutting this part for sure.
Top 5, bottom 5. It does not really. I mean, it does matter the way I say it. But so far in our list, we've got Steph Curry at 1, Luka Doncic at 2, Kyrie Irving at 3, Damian Lillard at 4, Ja Morant at 5. Now, the long-awaited name that has been already debated for the majority of this episode, sitting at number 6, we have Trey Young. Again, so far, Rob is flawless. Rob's got Trey at 6. I had Trey at 5. Bono had him obviously a little bit higher at 4. I want to see what was the lowest that someone had him at.
I am at 7.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest debate I'll have for you here is just you put Chris Paul over Trey Young going into next season.
That's for that leadership role, dude. And Chris Paul just finished last year averaging a double-double. And like Bono was talking about, like he steps on the court, instantly makes an entire team better. His vision is unmatched at the point guard position right now. Like I solely base a point guard as, the guy who's the playmaker. I mean, yes, of course, scoring is a big part of it, but I'm looking at a point guard, the guy who's supposed to be facilitating. Chris Paul is the entire package. He can score. There's no doubt about that. He also has vision that, he literally averaged a double-double the whole season. Like that's what I see in a point guard. So if you're trying to tell me, like, do I think Chris Paul should be higher than Trey Young in a sense, like in a point guard position? Yes, it's just because he facilitates and can score. He's like the full package.
Interesting.
Trey Young averaged almost 10 assists per game last year.
That's true. But like Bono said, like Chris Paul stepped on the floor for the Suns and instantly made them better. Also that veteran experience. He also has, again, that leadership.
If you switched him, Trey Young goes to Phoenix, Chris Paul goes to Atlanta right now. Does Phoenix get better? Phoenix get worse? Does Atlanta get better? Atlanta get worse?
I don't think there's much of a drop off either way.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. But I have to say for those two spots, for me, that gap is not very wide at all. Like,
well, let me just spoil the next pick since we're also talking about it, because obviously we're debating Trey, Chris Paul. Again, I'm gonna keep updating it. Rob's list still flawless. But now we've got them back to back. Does anyone is there outside of Brooklyn, is there anyone really in disagreement about that? Having Trey Young slightly over CP3? I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, that's what I had. So obviously, I think that going back to the thing you said about switching the teams, I think that if you put Chris Paul on the Hawks, that guys like DeJounte Murray and John Collins' scoring numbers go up. And that's the difference that I think. I don't think it makes a huge difference in the total of wins and losses. I think if you put Trey on the Suns, Devin Booker's scoring numbers go a little bit down. Bridges' scoring numbers go a little bit down. Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton all go a little bit down because you have Trey that's going to average 25 on that team, whereas Chris Paul is going to average 15, and he's going to average his 10 assists just like Trey, but he's going to average his 10 assists and not score as much, so the other guys are going to eat a little bit more.
So if you had the choice between which team, like if you had to pick a team to say, screw the wins and losses, to see who would go farther in the playoffs, Chris Paul and the Hawks or Trey Young and the Suns?
I
I
think
mean,
Chris Paul and the Hawks.
That's what
one's
I
in the
think.
East, one's in the West, one's, I would probably pick Trey Young and the Suns. I'm a big Suns guy, but I think you're putting
I'm not.
I think you're putting a better player on a better team in a lighter top to bottom conference.
I think
So
the only
I'll
thing
take-
that backcourt scares me. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Young and Devin Booker are going for 50 a game.
And
Like-
giving up 60.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about that as much with Bridges, Crowder, and Ayton down there.
I mean, that is fair.
You know?
We're heading into the final 3 picks. Number 8. Someone that we're going off Basketball Reference for most of these position wise. This I think was out of all the outside of going from Curry and Luka, I think this is the pick that most of us agreed on, except for Bono and myself. I actually had him a little bit higher, but at number 8, we've got James Harden. I had him at 7. Bono had him at 9, and then obviously Rob, Brooklyn, Nick all had him at 8. But the biggest thing here is all of us in our top 10s, the only difference we had player-wise was maybe at the number 10. This is the biggest surprise so far, a player that was not in any of our top 10s except for Bono's, and he's ranked 8th, ahead of James Harden, even though we've got James Harden at 8. Bono, you have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over James Harden.
I think he's an underloved and underappreciated player. I just think it's because he's on a bad team. It doesn't let him really shine that much. I mean, like he had better stats than James Harden last year. Let me pull up.
But that's because he's on a bad team, is why
I
he's
was just
shining.
gonna say, yeah. If Shea plays in the 76ers, he doesn't average 24.
Let this load
Yeah,
first.
Don Bon's just like, shut
Let
up.
this load first.
Just shut us. You're proving me wrong. Shut up.
Yeah, hold on.
Because when I was like looking at all the lists, I think that was the biggest shock I had. I was like, holy crap, SGA. Because to be fair, we're gonna go farther. SGA is not gonna get mentioned. Spoiler alert, in the top 10. I had him at 14. He
Like I just
didn't
see
make
it
Rob's
as,
or he made Rob's list at 15.
I just see it as kind of strange because like he's a guy that's consistently been good over the past few years. He got hurt, was it 2 years ago, something like that? Didn't play that much, but he's been, ever since his second year, he's averaged 19 points per game. And then his 4th year, 25, 6 and 5. And I'm looking at this list and I have, if this will stop moving, I see on Nick and Brooklyn's list at, what's this, number 9? Darius Garland. And I just think that they're both on weird teams. The Cavs are slightly better. I don't think the Cavs are like legit playoff teams. I think that they're gonna drop off next year. And still Shay's just better everywhere. I don't think that, I think it's pretty warranted that he's a top 10 point guard. I don't necessarily trust the Lamell Ball yet. To put him ahead. That's why I put Lamell Ball at 10. But like I think that it's pretty good there. Plus, like the other
You
person
got Rob smiling.
the only other person that I thought I would put ahead of him, even though I dropped him pretty down, was DeJounte Murray, but he's gonna be on the Hawks next year. And who knows what Trey Young and him are gonna do. So I don't, that's how I see it.
I know before we started recording, you made that comment about how Darius Garland was an all-star, but it was in the East. Do you think that SGA, if he's averaging those same numbers and say he's on the Orlando Magic, do you think that gets him an all-star? Because that's kind of like the same thing as De'Aaron Fox. Like
Yes.
he averaged 25 on a bad team.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Like I just think it's not necessarily like that he doesn't have the skills, because clearly he has the skills. It's just like the next best piece is what on that team? Josh
Giddey.
But it's his first year.
Brooklyn,
I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Brooklyn, why do you have Harden way above SGA?
Just because James Harden is prime, granted the role, but also that means a fantastic facilitator. Like that guy is a bona fide playmaker. So, for that. Sorry, did you hear my phone call?
No, you're good.
No, for that reason, alone, even if James Harden currently isn't completely up to speed with today's NBA, the man still, he dishes the rock. And again, when I think of a point guard, it's a facilitator. He can score. There's no question that man can shoot. Although his bag's a little bit more shallow now. But in terms of first off experience, he's had and then the playmaking too. He can find people. Granted, he's on the 76ers and he's James Harden, so he's going to have a lot more opportunities to get his name out there than Shay.
But the one reason why I put James Harden at 9 compared to 8 was just because he's so toxic in the locker room.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, but
Oh my God.
Kyrie's also putting in 30 points per game.
All right, I don't know if I'm crazy for this.
Hold on.
Yeah, wait, take the floor.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Shay's a great player. He's a fantastic player. He's a volume scorer because he plays on a terrible team that needs him to be a volume scorer. He averaged 24 and a half. Absolutely. First of all, was it you, Bono, that I was just talking to about Kyrie Irving not playing over the last 2 years?
Yeah.
I mean, Shay's
Wait, no, that was Nico. I like Kyrie. Kyrie's 3 for me.
That works. Shay has played 81 games over the last 2 years. That's less than one full season over the last 2 years. He shoots 45% from the field, which is respectable, 30% from 3. I mean, all right. He averages 6 assists and 5 rebounds. It's not like he's anywhere even close to a double-double. He's literally a volume scorer. Great player. I think if he had more talent around him, his overall numbers would be better, even though his scoring would be less. But in no way is he better. I'm a James Harden hater. I've been a James Harden hater
I
since he was
frankly
winning MVP.
don't think James Harden is going to be as good next year, especially with Tyrese Maxey.
Oh yeah,
I completely
that's why I have him there. I just think that because OKC has nothing, it'll inflate everything. 2, if they get something or they have some sort of pieces on that team, I think, or if Josh Giddey even gets a hair better, I think that his assist numbers and his rebound numbers and everything is going to get a lot better. And I just think that projecting into next year, SGA is a top 10 player.
But to me, you're
top
talking
10.
about
hold
since
on.
OKC has
Josh
Point guard, not player.
Josh Giddey almost made this list for me over SGA.
Damn.
See, I think that's kind of
that points back to the whole thing about OKC is a trash team that has nothing. So then naturally they're gonna have the players that are good are gonna be these names that Shay's getting that spotlight because the team sucks. So naturally they go to him and he's gonna have those numbers. He's gonna have those numbers because he's the go-to guy to score. That doesn't mean that he's a top 10 point guard. I mean
I can't really justify taking James Harden next year over SGA as a point guard. I guess statistically,
at worst, James Harden's going to give you 22 and 10,
with
much improved defense. I've never liked James Harden. I used to say that Eric Gordon could do the same thing as James Harden if he just drove to the basket more and took 33 in his game. I have forever hated James Harden. I love SGA as a player, but come on. I mean,
I stand by this. I think he's a top 10 point guard.
Am I the only one that thinks James Harden's going to kind of bounce back?
No. Kind of bounce back if you mean average 22 and 10 on a top 4 seed.
I don't think he's going to bounce back.
I think he's going to be better than he was in Philly. I mean, now he's got he's got that half a year under his belt, I guess. You've got an off season. And he kind of knows that, this like after everything that happened with Brooklyn, the career is going down. So I don't know.
I think he's gonna request the trade.
So-
No, I'm genuinely serious
the
about this.
Nets.
I think he's gonna
Oh,
request
keep him away
request a
from
trade,
us.
Rockets.
like after
I want him back.
trade deadline, and then I don't know, something between him and Embiid won't work, and he's like, "Oh, I need to be my own man," and then I don't know.
Now,
The Rockets.
this has been the pick that's had the most heat, I guess. To our second to last pick, going at number 9. These last two were really tough because a lot of our picks were different here. I had our total list. We've got Lamell Ball here at 9. I had him at 9. Bono had him at 10. Rob had him as low as 12. Rob finally his flawless streak is ended because he had LaMelo a lot farther. Brooklyn's got him here at 11. So Brooklyn Rob, he's not a top 10. He's not top 10 yet.
Too early to say.
Absolutely
Way
not.
too early to say.
I think he was more of a flashy pick than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at DeJounte Murray, we're talking about a guy that nearly averaged a triple-double with 21, 9, and 8 on a bad team. Like, we're not talking like he averaged 24, 5, and 5 like some other point guards I know on a bad team. We're talking 21, 9, and 8 on a bad team. 2 steals per game, led the league, nearly an all-defensive team, like first team. Like, out of all the 8 point guards that I put above DeJounte, he is the best defender out of all of them.
I also want you to remember this. The list says 2022 to 2023
I understand.
bricks and buckets list, and I don't think he's gonna be as good. Like, he's playing next to Trey Young.
Yeah, so he's gonna average under 21 most likely. I would take the under on 21. I would
His
take.
assist numbers are gonna drop
Why would the assist numbers drop?
because Trey Young is the main ball handler, and either way, Trey Young's gonna average like 10 assists.
I think there's gonna be.
I
less
think it's
ISO ball in
ridiculous
Atlanta this
having
year.
2 players average more than like 9.
I think there's gonna be less ISO ball in Atlanta this year. So I think there's gonna be more designed assists almost because you have 2 fantastic ball handlers except for one. Not to mention his defense is not going to drop off just because he changed places.
Oh no, I don't. I completely not disagree. I completely agree with that.
And
They
neither
can
will
both
his rebounding.
easily
He's gonna be a
average.
stellar. He's gonna be a stellar player. If you told me that DeJounte Murray is gonna give me 19, 7, and 7, I'd be thrilled.
They're both gonna average like 7 assists, 7, 8. I mean, they're like you're not gonna get 2 double-digit assist leaders, but at the same time, they're both gonna go down, I think. But still be a solid backcourt there.
Right. I think they both go down as well.
I
LaMelo's
like
a
how
guy
we're-
that averages, 20, 27, and 5. That's pretty solid. 43% from the field, 39 from 3. He's a real good point guard. I just thought that there were 3 guys that eclipsed him at the moment from the 9 to 11 spots.
No, it's funny because the pick that we're debating Trey or more like DeJounte and Trey when the pick was LaMelo. Bono, you got to help me out here because we have Rob in Brooklyn that just started us off.
I can't say anything more than what Rob just said. Like
Yeah,
that was the entire argument.
Brooklyn, shut up. I think you put Darius Garland way too early. First of all,
Interesting.
But Shay though. But Shay.
I think Shea is a better argument than Darius Garland.
What about Lamell Ball, the actual pick at 9? 20 points per game.
Oh, I
second
do. I
year.
do like Lamell Ball. Like,
Who
I
says he
don't think.
doesn't? Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Dang.
Sorry.
That's what I think.
The
of
cat
LaMelo
doesn't like
Ball.
LaMelo Ball. The cat's
what I think
preaching
of
to
LaMelo
DeJounte
Ball.
Murray.
It's not like LaMelo's a bad player. I just think that there's a lot of competition in front of him. I prioritize defense a lot with these couple of selections late in my top 10, as you'll see with my next one as well. So
it's tried to
DeJounte
bite
definitely
me.
has an edge there. I've been a huge DeJounte guy for a while, and anytime you're getting up close to triple double range, I think that deserves some respect. I think LaMelo's going to get there for sure.
Who says he doesn't take a jump like John Morant? Like you're telling me LaMelo can't average? Like I think him averaging 25 this year isn't too crazy because that Hornets
very
roster
well
has
could.
only gone down.
Something we didn't talk about with DeJounte is we talked about his totals numbers going down, which is probably likely playing next to Trey Young. His efficiency numbers in theory should go up. Like if he's shooting 33% from the 3, that should go up. He's shooting 46% from the floor, that could go up. It could be like a Devin Booker situation where you get a Chris Paul, your scoring numbers in bulk go down, but your efficiency numbers go up because you're playing with better players around you. I think we could see that from DeJounte.
Big facts. Big facts
I,
over
I
there.
do think Lamelo could take that jump also because whatever's happening with Miles Bridges right now
Yeah,
obviously
there's not.
takes a
They've
major
gone
piece out of
backwards.
that lineup. So then, yeah, you're looking at like, oh, who else do you have to score? Well, Lamelo better take some more shots. Yeah, I could also see him taking that jump. I mean, I think I might have undervalued Lamelo by a lot. I don't think I should have put Garland that high, but um, yeah.
Now, if
Let's
you
go.
erase the SGA pick, Lamell Ball is back at 9. I know he's at 10 for you, Bono, but you have like for me, I had Lamelo then DeJounte. You've got De'Aaron Fox between Lamelo and DeJounte. So what separates them?
I don't even know, honestly. Like it's probably DeJounte there.
Okay, well, you know what? Then I got outnumbered, what, 1.5 to 2,
Yeah, no,
I guess.
De'Aaron-
You might as well give me the podcast at this point. It's not your podcast anymore.
Brooklyn, you better go put a shirt on.
It's short enough, right?
It's
Oh no, I lift so much I have to show off. Don't quote me on that. Don't you honestly edit that out, please. Yeah, let's move past that. Keep going.
The final pick in our top 10 point guard rankings, even though he's just been praised so much, number 10, we have DeJounte Murray. Definitely top 10. I actually had, it's funny you mentioned Garland. I had Garland ahead of DeJounte maybe an hour before we did this. And I looked back and I was like, DeJounte, forgettable all-star, put up those good numbers, as Rob said, on a bad team. And I still think like LaMelo could like break out into that 25, and that's why I had him before DeJounte. But I feel like LaMelo has the higher ceiling. DeJounte has the higher floor, I guess, if I phrase that right. He's a safer pick, essentially. For DeJounte, who had him pretty low? I mean, this was pretty much like I had him at 10, Rob had him at 9, Brooklyn had him at 10, Nick had him at 11, but that pick that you were talking about, Rob, that you had at 10, you had DeJounte at 9, Drew Holiday at 10.
Enough with the Drew Holiday disrespect. I think this is another thing where situation comes into it because Drew Holiday does not have to be the number 1 scoring option. He does not have to be the number 2 scoring option.
He can't be a number 2.
He can't or can?
Can't. You saw what happened.
I think he can.
Drew Holiday can absolutely be a number 2.
Drew Holiday can definitely be.
Drew Holiday has played 2 years with the Bucks. He's averaged 18 both years on 50% from the floor and 40% from 3.
Hey, hold on. I got a throwback for you. I got a throwback for you. Drew Holiday, back when he was the number 2 scoring option in Philadelphia, right behind Andre Iguodala. Absolutely insane.
How many wins? How many wins that team have?
They went to the playoffs, I believe.
Drew Holiday is an NBA champion.
Third option.
That's fine. But
third option.
For what it's worth, Giannis and Chris Middleton didn't do it without Drew Holiday.
Honestly, I think from 10 down, you can argue so many players.
It does get tough.
All defense. Let's not forget that.
Drew Holiday, I had him ranked 13th.
Oh, that hurts me.
I had Jamal Murray and Garland over him. You were hyping up Jamal Murray last episode. Healthy Jamal Murray?
Healthy Jamal Murray's a dog. We haven't seen him in a year, and we're projecting. I mean, I would take these 10 next year over healthy Jamal Murray. I'm excited for healthy Jamal Murray to prove me wrong. I actually, when I was doing the list, I was like, if we're talking about the honorable mentions, I was going to say that if there's one person that I would regret putting as low as I did, it would be Jamal Murray. But I can't in good conscience put a guy that I haven't seen play since the bubble above
champion.
These 10.
I mean, yeah, it almost goes
Brooklyn,
back to
stop
that.
playing 2K.
My friend said he's about to leave and we're in the middle of a game. I promise you I'm 100% here.
Before we wrap up, let's shout out some of these honorable mentions, mainly some that we haven't announced already. I mean, we talked about Garland a little bit. We just mentioned Jamal Murray. De'Aaron Fox was on all our lists in the 15s. Bono had 2 names that were not on anybody's lists. One of these ahead of Jamal Murray. One of the other ones ranked 15th. I got to hear this.
I put D'Angelo Russell and Marcus Smart in my list. Frankly, like I said, from 10 on, I feel like you can argue a bunch of people.
No Drew Holiday on your list.
No Drew Holiday because I saw everyone else had him and I was like, I kind of don't want to put him now. I love Drew
That's
Holiday.
why you just didn't.
Yeah, that's
Well, everyone else had him. I probably should.
I just wanted to talk about D'Angelo Russell and Marcus Smart. I feel like Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. I don't think you can argue like that you can't argue him in.
Where's the highest he can go? Because there was not even a second of
Oh,
thought
15.
in my list.
15 is the absolute highest he can go.
Over Drew Holiday is Marcus Smart. If Marcus Smart shot better from the floor and scored more.
That's how I see DeJounte Murray.
If you
But,
combine
like,
SGA and Marcus Smart.
Like I think DeJounte Murray is
That's
like
just
10
LeBron.
times better than Drew Holiday. Okay, let me restate this. Let me restate this. Okay, so I put Marcus Smart at 15 because I just wanted to bring his name in, saying that you can argue him in if you wanted to.
Sure.
I put D'Angelo Russell in at 13 because I think I want to throw him in as an honorable mention because no one else put him in.
Over Jamal Murray.
Over Jamal Murray because Jamal Murray hasn't played in 2 years.
Over
Additionally,
Drew Holiday
because he was just one guy that I was just like, I don't want to put him
Rob
in.
is so mad.
I love Drew
dropping-
Holiday. I think Drew Holiday realistically is probably my 11. But then again, I
What
was
is
like,
this?
realistically.
realistically, he's probably my 11.
So you said like you put Marcus Smart on there just like so people can argue that, but is that really your 15?
No.
Okay, so then who is your actual 15?
Oh, no clue.
Okay,
We're gonna see when we do small forwards, like number 12 for Bono is gonna be like TJ Warren.
No, he hasn't been good.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell's is 13 because he had cool bench.
But like
celebrations
also at the
and
same
bench
time,
games.
like I feel like there's a bunch of other people that you can argue, whether that's Ben Simmons if you count him as a point guard.
It's not gonna be point guard.
Who else? Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon didn't. I mean, he
Who else?
almost scratched it. Like almost had a thought, but
I
I
just
think there's a lot of depth.
I think that there's the second you get out of that top 10, you can argue so many names.
Like Brogdon or Halliburton.
Jalen
I was
Brunson.
about to say, like I can definitely take out D'Angelo Russell for Tyrese if I wanted to.
And D'Angelo
Jalen
Russell,
Brunson.
there might as well put like
Who's he
Kevin
for?
Porter.
Interesting one. Interesting. But I think that's where we're gonna stop it here. We told Rob bedtime's 10:30. We kept him 16 minutes later just to hear some Drew Holiday slander. Really kept him up. Now he won't be able to fall asleep. Who
Now I'm
knows?
going to bed angry.
That's even worse. But I've got Bono back here for the outro. That's so good. I mean, it's been so many episodes. I don't know if I can bring it back to what it used to be.
Just so you know, I haven't been listening.
I'm just
Oh
trying to
my
guard Steph Curry for the last minute.
Wi-Fi issue shows up late. Doesn't listen to the recap. Makes me have to edit more. You better not mess up this outro. That's all I'm
Tyrese
saying.
Maxey a point guard or shooting guard?
But that's gonna do it for Bricks and Buckets this episode. See, I even messed it up. Make sure to follow the socials. Twitter's at Bricks Buckets.
Instagram is Bricks and Buckets.
And then, I mean, this is the YouTube part. YouTube is Bricks and Buckets. You guessed it. Also, follow me on Twitter at Nico_Fasella. Brooklyn and Rob, feel free to shout it out.
I don't know my Twitter. Can't get into it. Don't want to know what's on it.
Yeah, see, I already messed up the outro. Bono, take it away. The rest of it's all yours.
Okay, well, I mean, y'all have to introduce.
All yours. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's throw
Okay,
it back. You know
so
what? You made
on
me do it.
my left is Nico Fasella. On my bottom left is Rob. Under me is Daniel Brooklyn Johnson. I have been Bono Siddhartha, and we'll see you next week.